In this video, sponsored by Lancaster Insurance, can you paint a car with household paint? I haven't got a clue, so let's find out. I'm hoping I've got everything I need. I've got a sanding kit, paint preparation wipes, some masking tape, a little tray with some rollers, a glass fibre kit, because obviously there are repairs that need to be made, and some brushes just because they were like 90p or something. Clearly I need to clean the car. It's covered in catkins at the moment, but the paint I've chosen is this wall and ceiling paint in a matte finish. I was aiming for a colour match, and maybe that's not too bad. Might be a touch light, but I quite like matte paint because I can't be bothered to polish cars. Yeah, we're going to give that a go. The first job is going to have to be to get this outside and give it a bit of a clean off, because it is covered in catkins and muck. Bit strange sitting in the car with no windscreen, but let's see if we can coax her into life. Very nearly. There we go. It's been a while. Out into the sunshine. You can definitely hear the induction of the engine. Let's go for a drive with no windscreen. Oh, that's quite refreshing. That's over choking now, and I can only access the choke through the engine bay. There we go. Choke control adjusted through the engine bay. So now I can put her in reverse and reverse up. Oh yeah, now she sounds sweet. Yeah, I started going around it with a P80 on the sanding block, which is really quite aggressive, just to try and knock some of these edges off. You can see where the original paint line went up to. It doesn't look like the windscreen was removed last time it was painted. But frankly, some of this paint needs removing with a screwdriver. Not sure what P rating a screwdriver is. P2 maybe? But yeah, a lot of this paint is very flaky, and that's true kind of all over the car. You can see the paint's flaking off there. It's very bad here where a tree has been dripping on it over the years. You can see that's back to the base coat underneath. There isn't any of the original blue left under here. So I know some people suggested getting some nitromors and trying to wipe off this green layer, but no, that's not really an option because it's not green underneath. Yeah, I think I will get this off, and we'll treat this separately. There's another, yeah. This is kind of the problem, but water gets under the paint, and yeah, the paint starts flaking off. It's why I've got to do something with Tuck the Invercar sitting over there, because she's bubbling up quite nastily in a lot of places. But yeah, oh gosh. Yeah, you know when something starts becoming a much bigger job than you anticipated. I foolishly thought I could get this car rubbed down and painted today. Oh dear, it's not looking good for Bromley. Let's see if we can get this off. Well, it looks like it's only held in place with these four little what look like 10mm bolts, two each side. Doesn't seem to be anything holding it on the back corner. I've disconnected the wiring. That's for the heated rear window. I have seen one of these with a rear wiper. That's a bit fancy, isn't it? So yeah, let's get it off. Did that look as farcical as it felt? Naturally, it's just started raining as soon as I get the roof off. That's just typical. Lots of tree debris. I'm trying to clear out of that gutter. Ugh, not good. But yeah, you can kind of see the problem with this as a pickup. There is no back on the cab, which is fine until it starts raining, but then you're going to get wet. You can get a bolt-in section which goes in the back and acts like a cab, but they're quite pricey, so I think I'll just keep the back body on, to be honest. But now it's off, we can paint all into this area. It doesn't look like it came off when it was painted last time. It's a bit lazy. Rip the rear seal out at the back, but yeah, otherwise she's good to go. Oh, it's hard work doing that all by hand. I think it's time to bring out the Black & Decker mouse. This should be exciting and noisy. Etc. Oh, that's the thing about bodywork, it takes ages. But we're definitely knocking off the edges, discovering where the paint was not attached, discovering some holes. But I have my fiberglass repair kit, I can just stick a bit of resin over that. But yeah, rubbing down. Haven't done the door yet, but I have started on the roof. Again, there's all these patches where the paint was starting to flake off anyway. It was no good painting on top of paint that wasn't actually adhered to the body shell. A few areas there I might go over with something a bit more rough. But yeah. Oh, not even halfway yet. Oh, getting slowed down a bit here at the front, getting absolutely filthy. Things you don't want to discover. A number plate that is seemingly stuck on. Oh, do I really want to do this, or should I just paint around it? I think I'm just going to leave that there. What a pain. Also, I'm not even going to try and get these indicators off. They're completely rusted. I'm not going to bother painting behind here. I'm just going to do the edges because that's all hidden anyway, and it's already a complete state. I think someone painted this a much brighter blue at some point. I think that's brighter than the original. And they did more of a strip down, which is why the engine bay is being done, than whoever painted it green last time. But yeah, at least I won't be the first to do a really terrible paint job on it. That's been a hard slog, but we have a roughened up Fox. Next stage will be to get all the dust off it. I quite like the pickup look, but if I go for roof off, I'll need to paint all this as well. And I might do that, but then you've got to decide where do you draw the line. Someone has clearly painted the bed and the interior a slightly different shade of green at some point. Again, that would have been blue originally. Look, a bit of blue there. But yeah, might get a bit of rust converter on that bottom hinge. That's the only hinge that's gone rusty. And then maybe some zinc primer over the top. But yeah, just the detail work now. Details like around here, and then I've got the difficulty of door shuts, deciding how far to go. Do I pull the seal off? The seal's not in great condition, but you know, the seal should go back on, he says. The seal doesn't feel... Oh, yeah, you go. They didn't bother last time. Maybe I won't bother this time. Right, it's time to give to some consideration to how I'm going to fix this hole here. Access is via the headlamp. That gives you access to the cavity. Right, we're back in the garage because I had to break for dinner. You can look how badly cracked this paint is. I think I'm going to have another go at rubbing that back. That's very patinated. But first of all, I think we'll attempt a bit of body work. I've just gone round the Fox with panel wipe just to clean all the dust away in the area I'm going to be working. Ended up doing the entire front of the car, but that's just me. I didn't want to waste a wipe. So now we're getting down to the actual fiberglass, and gloves, very, very necessary, because glass fiber and resin, not particularly pleasant stuff, but the glass fiber will make you itch forever. So this is what glass fiber is. It is glassy fibers. Clue is kind of in the name, really. And what makes up the body of the car is layers of matting and resin over the top, and you can build it up and use a mold to create whatever shapes you want. In terms of how to make bodywork, it's pretty much the cheapest option going, which is why companies like Reliant, Gordon Keeble, even Lotus made such use of it. It allowed you to be very creative without much cost. There are downsides to glass fibre. The hinge kind of demonstrates one problem. It's not that great for torsional strength. So the strength in this car comes mostly from the chassis. It can rip, it can crack, it can craze. But what I'm going to do is cut the mat into smaller pieces, and I think I'll start by just mixing up a little resin, and we'll pour that in to start with, and then we'll start building up bits of mat over the top. I obviously don't want to build the mat up too much, or I'll end up with a huge hump either side of the repair. But yeah, it may be I can cut those away once the repair itself is set. I'm not sure. I've never used fiberglass before. This is all a learning experience for me. Should explain. I mean, that's obviously the resin, but there's a hardener as well, which you need to actually make the stuff set, because otherwise it'll just stay liquid. It comes with a measuring cup, and yeah, we'll get to that. The next stage might be a bit messy, so you might not see me doing anything, but yeah, I'll come back to you. So there we go. That's the first repair. Obviously it needs trimming up here on the top, but I can't do anything until the resin is set. Ignore all this, that's just where I've been wiping away any excess resin as I've been working. Nasty stuff. My fingers are sticky even though I was wearing gloves. That's quite impressive. I also don't know how I'm going to salvage my brush, which is rapidly going hard because it's covered in hardened resin. Yeah, not quite sure what the deal is there, but yeah, next plan is probably to start attacking the underside. I've got gaffer tape there at the moment. I was thinking of removing the gaffer tape, but having thought about it, I've probably now resined the patches I've put 2 little squares in to try and act as a filler. So I think I'll just be gaffer taping the or resining in the gaffer tape from the underside, but I want to let that dry first, I think. It's rapidly turning into a job I wish I'd never started. Getting access to the underside is horrific, because you can only go in through this headlamp, and yeah, I mean, I can't even show you where it actually is because it's tucked up here. It's horrible to get at. You're dropping resin all over the sodding place, all over these wires, for example. That should be fun a bit later on. And yeah, I have no idea if this repair is going to be any good at all. I've just noticed I seem to have managed to get some dirt into it. Let's not have dirt in the matting, thank you very much. So I've no idea if this is going to work. I'm going to have a cup of tea. Tea has been consumed. I'm going to gingerly poke this and see what it's like. Ooh, that's reassuring. That's messy. Yeah, still some softness there, but perhaps that's good because I don't actually want that there. It's fine. I'm sure you can sand it off. Can you sand it off? Oh, I don't know. So yeah, I need to trim around that probably. I don't know what I'm doing. Actually, that's not looking too horrific at all after a bit of sanding action. I mean, yeah, it's very obviously still there. Try and focus on it a bit, but yeah, we do actually seem to have something fairly solid there. Oh, that's reassuring. I'm going to do more sanding though, because this paint is absolutely knackered. I would like to try and get rid of that paint entirely, I think. So let's keep going. Right, I do believe it's time to get some paint on. I've put a bit of primer on the front end just because that's where stone chips are most likely, but otherwise I'm just going to slap the paint on and hope for the best. Here goes nothing. Oh, my roller's not rolling. That's a good start. Look at this crappy roller. But it doesn't roll. That's kind of useful. We're just smearing the paint on then. Let's see if this works at all. Try and not get in your way. There we go. Oh, that's bright. Oh dear. I don't think that's quite the shade I was hoping for. Well, we're sort of getting a bit of rollering going on there. Oh gosh. Someone jokingly said I could paint the Fox the same colour as Tuck for a bit of a in-car support vehicle look. I might inadvertently be doing that. It wasn't the hope, and that's nice. That's giving it a nice Artex feel. Maybe I need to reload. Yeah, not quite what we were aiming for there, I don't think. I will paint the hinge black again at some point. Painting my car with a roller. Oh yeah, beautiful Artex look there. Oh dear. Oh, look at that, slapping it on. Actually, the match is pretty good. I mean, there's the original blue. But maybe it's not as bad as I thought. Foxen, you're turning blue whether you want to or not. The quality speaks for itself. I'd say the coverage is very good. Far better than my video coverage. Oh, hello. Is that the sound of the comments section exploding? Oh, this paint finish is just first rate. It really is. By first rate, I mean absolutely terrible. Well, I shall keep going and we'll see what the final result is. So far, pretty awful. Well, could be worse. Maybe. From over here, I think that looks quite good. Right, I think it's time for another look. How is it drying? Oh, that's looking fairly awful. Yeah, still drying. It's a matte finish. Deliberately used a matte finish paint. But yeah, I need to work on my technique a bit, I think. Hopefully we can smooth things out with a second coat. I've obviously also got the detailing left to do as well. Although I concede I'm probably going to end up painting the washer jet. I mustn't forget the bonnet either. The bonnet also needs to join in with this game. But yeah, you can definitely see where my fiberglass repair was. Now, some people already on Facebook have commented that you're meant to do the laying up from beneath, which I quite accept. The problem here is the access. The access is so poor, I thought I'd do a strengthening piece on top as well as beneath. I want it strong. I don't care if it doesn't look quite right. But yeah, so much brighter, which is really what I wanted. And yeah, you can see there's the difference between the two shades of paint. And I suspect my blue is actually closer to the original. I think that blue is actually a bit too dark. And yeah, there's the number plate because it won't come off. The number plate is still there. We shall paint around it because quality. Well, there we go. I've now got some detailing done to make it look a bit better. But really, she's going to need another coat of paint. But you've got to wait 2 to 4 hours, which realistically means not until this evening at the earliest, so we'll have to wait. It's drying. I think it's starting to look half decent, but I think I was getting better um, paint oh, paint finish with a brush going around the edges than I was with a roller. So I think I'm going to dispel with a roller. I don't think the roller was working for me. I've got many different brushes of different sizes, and the brushes will be better for getting into areas like these roof channels, which are a bit tricky to get into. Yeah, we shall roll out the brush and see how that goes. What I was meant to be doing at all, what I was meant to be doing is fixing the boot lock on the 2CV, but maybe I'll do that this evening instead. It was pouring down earlier. I didn't really fancy coming outside to do anything, but yeah, I suppose you probably want to see the steam train go past, don't you? So here she is. Jack driving again. I'm going to miss that, you know. I really am. When I move from here in October, it's going to be oh wow, heaving. Bank holiday weekend for you. Alright, all those lucky people watching me paint a car really badly. Let's crack on. I'll try and turn all Bob Ross, but I'm not developing his hair. See how this does. Oh yeah, I think this is the magic ticket, to be honest. At least there aren't too many curves to worry about on a Fox. Oh yeah, much better. Right, I shall keep doing this. I won't bore you with recording it. Well, that's not looking too shabby, I don't think. Second coat is on and is drying. Don't let the shine fool you. It will be going matte. At least that's the hope. Anyway, can have a peek at the back. Try and tread around without leaning on the car. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to redo the black. But I am liking the way Foxhand's looking. Oh yes. Now the second coat's starting to dry. That's looking so much better. You see it's got a matte finish. It's not entirely dry, I shouldn't touch. It is deliberately a matte finish. I just like matte finish, and I think when I get the hub nut logos done on it, it'll look spectacular. I do have one concern. If I remind you, this is the paint. It's water-based wall and ceiling paint in a matte colour. Is it actually waterproof? Because I washed out the paint tray with plain water, which strikes me as not ideal. With that in mind, I've just slapped some paint on the back of this mirror, and I'm going to leave that to dry overnight. Might even try and cure it with a hairdryer. And in fact, I think it is dry. Yeah, it is dry. But yeah, I will leave that overnight just to cure fully, and then we'll give it a good soaking in the morning and see if that actually works. I must get a bin bag as well, because there's an awful lot of rubbish coming out of this adventure. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. That's looking great. The question is, do you feel lucky, punk? Oh, that was clever. Well, the paint seems to have stayed on, so that's good. Oh yeah, it is starting to come away with repeated. Oh yeah. Oh dear. I might need to find some way of sealing the paint, because my wall and ceiling paint is not sealing, I don't think. I carried out another test paint last night. This one's had a bit longer to cure. Yeah, there's a bit coming off, but it's not coming off in flakes, is it? So I think we'll say that's okay. Here's how Foxanne's looking this morning. Now she's cured overnight, and I have to say I don't think that's looking too bad at all. There's areas I wish I'd done more prep. Like there's flaky paint, flaky original paint there. I really should have done a better job of clearing that off. But the paint finish isn't too bad. You see, not the most uniform coating there, but that's looking quite good. I need to do these pillars again because I need to paint with doors open, and I need to paint along the top here again because that's only had one coat, whereas the rest of it has had two. There was paint already on the handles. That paint wasn't from me. The bit around the edges, but that bit was from a previous paint job. But yeah, I'm going to say that's surprisingly all right. And in case you're wondering exactly why I'm using, oh, I haven't put the lid back on properly, that's not good. Cheap household paint. There we go, make sure that's sealed. The reason is simple. One can of the Plasticoat paint, so these cans here, which I used to paint Ellie's wings, they're about £6 each, and I used a couple of cans per wing because aerosols don't have much paint in. This one tin of paint, of which there is an awful lot left, was £10. So what I'm aiming for here is a paint job that costs me, well, I was hoping for under £20, but I've decided I am going to use a lacquer on top. Let me see if I can find one of the cans. So this is what I have. I thought I had more than that. I apparently only have half a can of clear sealer with a satin finish. I think that's what I want. I don't want a gloss over the top of this. That would be a disaster area. But given the nature of fiberglass, which can absorb moisture, the paint is kind of a barrier to stop it doing that. I think some sealer will be a good idea. I also need some black paint. Try and find some matte black so I can paint these bits. I'd hope to get this off, but I don't think that's going to happen, which is going to make painting it quite interesting. That shopping trip didn't go entirely to plan. They'd only got one can of that on the shelf, which is the matte clear sealer, so I've got a can and a half of that, which I don't think will be enough for the entire car. But I did get some matte black paint, which I'm going to use on the plastic trims that go along the front and around the back, and maybe the door frames as well. So I might have some masking to do. But first of all, I think I'm going to get her out so I can properly assess the paint, because it's very difficult to judge in here. And then we'll see if we're going to put the sealer on. Well, I'm living dangerously today. I'm painting outdoors despite the clouds. There could be rain, so I may have to move the car, but yeah, it's drying after a third coat of paint, and looking quite good, I think. So we'll let that coat dry, and then I think we'll get the top coat on, the sealer. I hope the paint's going to adhere to the body. It is kind of designed for walls with plaster on, so there's no guarantee there. Sprayed the nose section as well, that's now black with just a hint of blue in places, just because, you know, why not, actually, you know, could be fun. Definitely not accidental, so that should look good. Oh, there we go. I've just loosely fitted the nose section. It's only held in with one bolt, and it should be held in with 4, but I'd say Foxanne is looking one heck of a lot better. There's still work to do. I've still got to get my hands on some more sealant. I've done most of the car. I haven't done the doors. This flank hasn't been finished, and this quarter indeed. And yeah, I started running out on the tailgate panel, and you can kind of tell because it's a bit patchy. But I've done the black bits. I've had a coat of matte black, so they're looking good. I've made some attempt at door shuts, but I don't really care because the doors will mostly be shut. But there we go. Next challenge will be to get the windscreen back in, then start working my way through the to-do list so I can actually get her on the road. Over the next week or so, I'm really busy with a magazine deadline, so I fear my tinkering time is at a premium, but that still leaves a couple of weeks to get her ready for Bromley. Before I get the rear lights in, she looks a bit more complete now. Unfortunately, that's the hazard lights. Clearly, whoever painted the bonnet last time didn't bother taking the hinges off. It's not difficult, so I've done that this time. Just rubbed that down, just giving it the panel prep. So it's time for the boot to receive a coat of paint. Sorry, bonnet. That's the bonnet, that's the boot over there. Well, it's a few days on. I haven't done updates on absolutely everything, but the bonnet is now painted. It's looking patchy because the sealer is on and is drying, and the sealer is also on this side and the doors of the main body, which hadn't been done before. There's a few dribbles over there because I've managed to drop some washing liquid on, because I was trying to fit the windscreen myself, but unfortunately that is not happening. I can safely say I'm not fitting the windscreen on my own. I made a brave effort, but yeah, just impossible. So hoping someone's going to help me fit that next week. But I don't necessarily want to keep you hanging on forevermore. So I think we'll say that will do for now. The Fox is looking... sorry, just tripping over everything on the floor because my garage. Yeah, it's all looking good. It's stinking to the high heavens, and hopefully this will work. One decision I made was to paint the mirrors black, and I think that was the right call. I think they're going to look very smart for a bit of contrast there. I've also painted, if I can find one, oh yes, there it is, the wiper arms, because the wiper arms were originally black, so they've been painted as well. And I'm still to go around the window frames. These needed paint anyway, so I thought I'm not going to bother masking, but now I can get them painted up properly, and they'll be much nicer as a result. Do need to do something about wheels. Some are crusty, some are not good. Quite fancying some alloys, and I do also need to do something about the hardtop. I think the hardtop in blue would be a bit much, to be honest, so I'm going to try some different paint on that, but all that is going to have to wait for a future video. But yeah, like I say, I think we'll wrap that one up for now, because it's going to be the best part of a week before there's any more progress. I might as well get an update out, and after all, she does look rather fetching, I think. I won't be painting the interior. That's a slightly different shade of green to the outside. Ideally I would, but this is Hubnut, we don't do things ideally, just in case you hadn't noticed. So yeah, I shall say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget we've got the Hubnut store at hubnut.org, where you can find this lovely range of goodies. I'll just take a moment to say thank you to Lancaster Insurance for their continued support. Do go and check them out. We've got a discount code down in the description that will get you £15 off your quote. Yeah, that's about it really. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your comments, mostly very, very helpful. But yeah, thank you very much, and I shall see you in a future video. Farewell.